Hey, 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 say kids, what time is it? Well, it's time for Magical Monday with your old pal Bob. You know, sometimes we feature magicians on our show, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. You know, because there's people who can perform magic, and then there's some entertainers who are just magical. Today, we're going to trace the career of two entertainers that performed the same act for over 100 years. An amazing record indeed. I don't think anybody else has ever done that before. 100 years of entertaining audiences with the same act. So today, we're going to visit and give a tribute to a friend of mine who's no longer here, Joe Jackson Jr. Joe Jackson Sr. was born in 1873 in Vienna. He was an Austrian cycling champion and a member of the world champion bicycle polo team before he became an entertainer. Jackson became a champion racing cyclist of Austria at an early age. Later, he became a trick bicycle rider and traveled over much of Europe. While appearing at the Crystal Palace in London, the handlebars of his bicycle came off. He waved the handlebars wildly as a gesture of despair. Laughs from the audience brought down the house, and it gave Jackson the idea for his famous comedy act. From then on, he was a comedian. In all of his years on the stage, Jackson did his act in pantomime. Preferring intimate settings, Jackson worked almost exclusively in vaudeville and one-ring circuses. He took his act to England, Europe, Russia, Siberia, Turkey, and the United States. He performed his act before kings, queens, and even Adolf Hitler. Joe Jackson Sr. performed the same act for over 50 years. Joe Jackson Jr. performed the escapades, did several movies with Sonja Henie, made 15 appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show, and toured the world. He made several movies in Sweden where he was a national treasure. In later years, he worked at Gaslight Village in Lake George, New York, where he performed at the Ice Show. Both father and son did the same exact comedy act for 100 years in vaudeville, movies, stage shows, TV, and the circus. Between the both of them, they circled the globe 16 times performing this act. Joe's bicycle and costume can be seen on display at the Circus Museum in Sweden. When Joe Jackson died in 1991, he left behind a loving family and many fans who will never forget the Tramp clown who just could not resist sneaking a ride on a bicycle that always fell apart. I believe this is one of his last performances that you're going to see. You'll notice he's not wearing his Tramp makeup, his signature clown makeup that he wore for over 50 years. And even though he didn't speak during his act to the audience, every show, every performance, he always said something to himself under his breath. When he claps his hands and jumps on the bicycle, he says, "Time to go home." Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to present to you the magical Joe Jackson Jr.